Okay, guys, we got Jillian Michaels here. We are at Student Action Summit, political event, and you're going to be talking about health today, right?
I don't know. I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so.
Going to mix it up?
I think I'm going to mix it up a little bit. Really just more about helping kids define their purpose and a few key tools on how to achieve that vision. I think I'm going to stick to that.
What do you think kids need the most help with these days?
Being given permission.
Permission?
Yeah, I think that kids get very caught up in the things they think they should do instead of what they uniquely want to do. And the more you lean into the things that you love and the things that you're passionate about, the more affluence and abundance you're going to have. And then when they do that, they tell me that they have imposter syndrome, which is really unique to Gen Z. I hear that quite a bit. And I think it's about giving them permission to find themselves along the way. Like, nobody walks into something being an expert.
Right.
Nobody does. You have to fail, you have to fall down. That's how you learn, that's how you grow, and that's how you become amazing at it. You should welcome the challenge. Like, you are the future of whatever profession you're choosing to pursue, the future of our country, and the future of humanity as a whole. Really empowering kids to embrace their destiny. That's what I think is important, and I think that's where they get shut down so easily. On top of other things, the world being a very different place, I mean, priced out of housing, I mean, we could get into all of that, not being able to afford a family. But I don't love to address it as much because I don't want them to get bogged down. It's very easy to become nihilistic when you think everything's stacked against you.
Right.
You have to teach them how to be entrepreneurial and work around it, work with it, move and flow with the cards that they're being dealt.
Yeah, a lot of Gen Z, a lot of millennials, they say they feel lost or lack of purpose. When you were growing up, was it like that with your generation?
We had less pressure, and that's kind of the point. I dropped out of college, I didn't like it, I didn't know what I was gonna do, I wasn't good at it, and I fell into fitness because I was training for my black belt. I was given permission by the culture to be a kid and to find myself in that free fall and to lean into the things that I was uniquely passionate about. And today, it's the thing, kids like, what are you gonna do? And even in telling young people, hey, this is gonna be your world, what are you gonna do with it? It's kind of dangerous because, again, you're pressurizing them so much. Like, you are responsible for saving the planet. And the entire human race. What are you guys going to do with it? I think it's more about getting them to embrace inheriting that birthright, but we just didn't have that pressure, so it was easier to do.
A lot of pressure. College is super expensive now. People aren't getting married as young because there's financial distress.
Of course. Absolutely. And they feel like diplomacy is rigged. You know, what's the point of being in democracy when it's bought and paid for?
Right.
They see the cost of living exponentially outpace wages. I was talking to a young kid the other day on a podcast I was doing for Patrick Bet-David, and he was saying that their studio apartment in New York was $5,000. My studio apartment at that kid's age was $800.
Wow.
Like,
so
do
7X.
we really think, exactly my point, like, do we really think the kids are making 700% more than I was when I was that age?
Not even close.
Not even close. So unquestionably, you want to validate these young people and tell them, like, you're right, you got an uphill battle, but it can be done, and you have tools that weren't available to us either. You need to outthink it.
Yeah,
You
with
gotta
AI
be
now,
more
you
creative.
can.
Exactly. Like, even still, when I try to look at the landscape for my kids, like, all right, don't bother being a doctor. That'll be a robot. Lawyer, that's going to be a robot. Okay, going to be virtual influencers, possibly, and artists. Well, they're going to make music with these tools. Real estate? Should you get into real estate? Are you passionate about that? Are you passionate about politics? Real human beings are going to have to run the country. Like, what is it that you enjoy doing? Where is there still white space? And what tools can you use to reinvent the fields that you care the most about?
Yeah, that's a great way of thinking, especially for a parent, right? Because your kids' jobs might not be there in 10, 20 years, so you got to really plan ahead.
No, sports. But how many kids are going to be pro athletes? Sports is unique because nobody really wants to see machines kick a ball around. That's not fun. But watching people compete, I think we'll always be compelled by that. Watching people perform live, I think we'll be compelled by that. But it's so hard to say. You know, no one could have predicted the direction in which AI was going to go. We thought it was going to make the more hands-on, blue-collar, working-class jobs obsolete, and it's the other way around.
Yeah.
Now it's like, be a plumber, be an electrician. I want to encourage kids to be authentic, be passionate, do what they love, but be fiercely entrepreneurial.
I love that.
And don't allow themselves to become black-pilled.
What's black-pilled in your eyes?
Black-pilled is when you just become completely disillusioned and you give up. You give up. And nothing good comes of that.
Right.
Nothing.
Have you been there before?
Of course. And I remember my mom saying to me, honey, you're giving up hope. Why? And I think it was a defense mechanism. You know, you don't want to be so disappointed. You don't want to hope and lose, hope and fail. You don't want to deal with the devastation of that loss, so you don't want to form an attachment to it in the first place. But ultimately, it begets the very thing you're most afraid of, which is assured failure and assured loss and the assurance of never achieving the thing you want to achieve. So you've now created the thing you're most afraid of, and you're left with nowhere to go but to take that leap of faith and have confidence in your ability to survive the disappointments and the setbacks and learn from them along the way.
Yeah. I know that was a big part of your life, you know, getting bullied growing up, the weight stuff.
Sure, yeah. It's worse now, though. Even more to the point is kids just
Because the cyberbullying
terrorize
aspect
each
is
other
added.
online. And you guys don't get to make a mistake.
Right.
Oh, hold on. Do you see this post that they put up on TikTok 5 years ago? Let's make sure that person never works again.
Canceled.
Yeah, it's very real. I don't think that's over or gone in any way, shape, or form. And one of the things that I think is going a bit off piste here, but for anybody that's getting a little bit comfortable thinking like woke is dead, cancer culture is dead, oh, Trump is making necessary changes to some of the chaos, and maybe you don't like him, and that's okay too, but then this will be an upside for you. But the reality is that as much as I appreciate the executive orders, none of this is settled law. And if this flips back to somebody like, God forbid, Gavin Newsom,
Right.
you know, we need to fight. Do not do that. We need to fight harder and more fiercely and more intelligently than ever.
Agreed. Yeah, I think some people focus a little too much on politics, but you can make a lot of changes on your own.
Oh, completely. Change your own life, change your community. There's a lot that you can do, but politics does impact and affect so many of us that I think it just intimidates people. It really does. They're afraid to speak their mind. I was seeing something that Megyn Kelly had said about not feeling the need to comply with a narrative you don't agree with because you're afraid your professor's going to flunk you.
Right.
You know, that stuff is real.
That is, yeah. Yeah, I guess it just depends more on where you live too, but
Where
yeah.
you live, what you're interested in pursuing. But again, without getting validate it, acknowledge it, but give kids the inspiration and the support to push through and find new paths forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Health is still a big part of your lifestyle, right?
Oh, of course. Absolutely. I hate to make any comparison to Joe Rogan because he is an absolute phenom. But one thing that I appreciate he does so well is live in 3 different worlds. He's a stand-up comedian, he's a UFC commentator, and he's a journalist, truly. He's become a journalist, not just a podcaster. When I look at that, I'm like, okay, well, I could be a questioning mind. I could be in the field of podcasting, and I'm passionate about that, and I'm passionate about changing the political landscape. But I'm also, my wheelhouse is still health and wellness.
Yeah.
So being able to live in those 2 worlds, Rogan did 3 really well. So I take inspiration from him, and so far, so good. But there was a time where I felt reluctant to dip my toe in new waters, despite how much I wanted to.
Really?
Yes, and I kind of got forced into it. I find the universe, whether you believe in it or not, always forces me into the right path. But in my business, you want to be apolitical because health is for everyone. But health became a political football.
Yeah.
So I ended up being thrust into that world regardless. So what I wanted to do was really what I was meant to do. Just needed the world to conspire a bit on my behalf, and here we are.
Funny how the universe works, right?
It's crazy. I could name many things that have gone on like that, but it does tend to move you where you need to be, provided you're putting intention and action into the
Right.
world. Serendipity will play its part.
That's the key part, right? It just won't happen out of nowhere.
No, life is what happens while you're making other plans. The key is you're making plans.
Right.
So the key is you have a vision. I'm sure it continues to evolve, but you try to define it as much as you possibly can. You build out an action plan and you take those steps. And what I've seen in my own life is I might think I'm planting an apple orchard and it turns out to be a vineyard.
Right.
Oh, so you become a winemaker. Arguably a stupid analogy, but the point is you're putting the effort, you're putting the intention, and you're allowing life and serendipity to play its part, and it really does. All I can tell you is I am living proof of this. I have seen this so many times in my life, but you've got to be doing your part.
Yeah, you feel very aligned. Like I could tell you're on your mission.
It took quite some time though to give into that, which is unfortunate. And I remember I would talk about this with my business partner, and I would see so much of the craziness going on, like sex changes for kids. Like that's just coming at it from a health background. You know that these are off-label cancer drugs and castration drugs that you're using on developing human bodies.
Mm-hmm.
The consequences and the ramifications and the side effects are staggering, from sterilization to a permanent loss of sexual function, impairing their brain development, impairing their bone development. If this child grows into an adult and still has the ability to comprehend the gravity of their choices and the desire to move forward with it, ultimately I think I'm a libertarian. And another, like, do you?
Right.
If your personal choices and personal freedoms don't impact the choices and freedoms of another, like, none of my business, go ahead. But a child can't comprehend this, a child doesn't understand this, and quite honestly, neither do the parents. So when I would see this happening, it was so deeply alarming, and it really is a modern day lobotomy of sorts. And my business partner would say, like, just stay out of it. Like, it's going to be a disaster. Like, the people that are commenting on this are journalists or stand-up comedians. Like, they kind of get this pass because it's under the umbrella of being satirical and poking fun at culture, even though that wasn't necessarily safe. And the more I got pushed, and the more it got insane, like when we're glorifying obesity.
Yeah.
I finally broke and couldn't stand it anymore and started speaking out, and the world didn't end. And I was encouraged to continue. And a lot of the things that I had relied on for so long were really falling apart because people weren't embracing health and fitness because it was an alt-right narrative.
Yeah. You were too early.
I go, what? So that's the serendipitous part, is it just kept coming for me.
Yeah.
And it kept moving into and infringing upon my area of expertise and the things that I held dear, from the health of kids to combating obesity and the 170 comorbidities that go along with it. And I'm really glad that I ultimately was given that extra push. I wish I had done it sooner, in all transparency, and I think that it gives me a unique perspective to speak to young people who do struggle with imposter syndrome, because I actually never had that before.
Really?
Never. But when you're stepping into a seat alongside somebody like a Megyn Kelly, who's a constitutional attorney, you're just like, I don't belong here. But the reality is, if my truth is resonating with people that are feeling similarly, then you do belong there. And when you're embraced by the likes of Megyn Kelly, and I've been on her show and she's been on my show, it's just more affirmation. But you have to be willing to put yourself out there, take the risks, learn from the failures, and lean into the things that your heart and your mind are telling you.
Yeah, you have to be. I waited years before starting this because I was so worried about the judgment and the criticism and cancel culture. But
Exactly
now
my
this is
point.
the best decision I've ever made.
That is exactly, and here you are. And probably right at the time you needed to be here.
Yeah,
Right
it
at
all
the
worked out
moment.
at the perfect timing.
How it should.
Yeah. It's crazy how life works, right?
It is.
Was that your first dealing with cancel culture during that whole body positivity movement and all that
I would
stuff?
say personally it was. I was always a liberal, a
Yeah.
classic liberal. Not a progressive, not a wokester, a classic liberal with regard to live and let live. And I ended up meeting my wife who's a conservative.
Yeah.
And I really did think liberals were the good guys. I had been fully indoctrinated without even realizing it.
Yeah.
No, we're the empathetic ones. We're for the minorities and the underprivileged and the oppressed class. But in being for those things, we ended up oppressing everybody else. Or not myself personally, but my wife was pointing out the hypocrisy. And we would get in fights and bring the house down about this stuff. But she predisposed me to see what was coming. We met in 2018. In 2020, 2021, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I started hearing people in California talk about how they gave up friends who voted for Trump. And you started seeing AOC talk about how they were keeping a list of people who worked for the Trump administration who voted for Trump, and they were going to be excommunicated from polite society. And I thought, if we're going to discuss authoritarian behavior, it's about as good as it's going to get right now.
Yeah.
So a host of things evolved my perspective on these issues, but
Yeah, that's awesome. Jillian, where can people watch your show, keep up with you, and support you?
JillianMichaels.com, everything's on there.
Awesome.
YouTube, all the things.
Thanks
all the
so much for coming on
places.
today.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. What a pleasure. And I
Absolutely.
appreciate everything you're doing.
Thank you. Check her out, guys. I'll see you next time.